and I've never seen anything like this before for Magic. So I picked up some booster packs. These are real cards, and I just had to, unpack them. I haven't looked at them yet. I just wanted to share them with you guys. So here we go. Let's take a look. It looks like we're starting out with some land cards. This is Trump Plaza. One of the casinos says Land Artifact Casino card. Trump Plaza comes into play tapped with 10 casino counters on it. During your upkeep, remove one casino counter. Trump Plaza does not untap as normal if it has more than 0 casino counters on it. So you can't really untap it for the first 10 turns. Finally, when you can untap it, you can tap it for 1 colorless mana to your mana pool, add 1 additional colorless for each additional casino you control other than Trump Plaza. So you kind of want to get all the other casinos, it looks like. If Trump Plaza is tapped for mana, Trump Plaza becomes bankrupt at the end of the turn and is removed from the game. So it looks like they're sort of, what actually happened in real life. They're kind of putting that on the cards here. Here's the Taj Mahal, kind of the same thing. You have the 10 counters on it, taps for 1 mana. If Taj Mahal is tapped, it becomes bankrupt end of turn as well and is removed from the game. So yeah, those casinos, definitely not a good move for Trump. Definitely went bankrupt there. Trump Tower is Istanbul. Tap to add 1 green mana to your mana pool. Another Trump Tower. This one's Chicago. Tap to add 1 red mana to your mana pool. Looks like they're sort of going through all the different Trump Towers here. Florida for 1 blue mana. It's interesting. The Trump Towers, they're not necessarily even built by Donald Trump. They're just kind of leasing his name, sort of a marketing thing. Trump Tower, White Plains, New York. Tap to add 1 white mana to your mana pool. So I guess that makes sense. Trump Tower, New York City. Tap to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool, or 1 mana of any color of a different Trump Tower land that you control. You may sacrifice Trump Tower to bring 1 multicolor creature with a gold border from your hand directly into play. Play this as a sorcery. Okay, it's not a bad card. CNN. CNN comes into play tapped. Democratic creatures cost 1 blue less to cast. Tap to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. Or tap to counter 1 lie spell as it is being cast. So I guess that's a new kind of spell here. Maybe we'll see them later on as I go through the deck here. Fox News. Fox News comes into play tapped. Tap to bring 1 Republican creature directly from your hand into play. Fox News does not untap as normal during your next upkeep phase. If that creature is Mitt Romney, Fox News does not untap for 2 turns. Tap, search through your deck for a lie and put that card directly into your hand. Okay, here's the PBS NewsHour. Pay 3 during your upkeep, or PBS becomes tapped. So they're always, kind of asking for donations and whatnot. So that kind of makes sense. Tap and X, counter X lies and obfuscations. This card has no effect if your opponent does not look at this card. If the game becomes uncivil, sacrifice PBS to restore civility. If only it were that easy. Okay, here we're moving on to some land country cards. This is Iraq. Tap to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. If Iraq has been invaded, during your upkeep, put 1 insurgency counter on Iraq. When Iraq has 5 insurgency counters on it, remove those counters and you take 5 damage. So kind of a little bit of a self-destructive card if you invade it there. Syria. Tap to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. If Iraq has been invaded, during your upkeep, put 1 insurgency counter on Iraq. When Iraq has 5 insurgency counters on it, remove those counters and put a 2/2 black terrorist soldier token into play. So, basically, invading Iraq leads to ISIS, looks like. Ooh, this is kind of a rare card. United States of America. Land country. Tap to add 1 red, 1 white, or 1 blue mana to your mana pool. When you control this card and it becomes buried, you lose the game. So be careful with that. Okay, we're moving on from lands to artifacts. Border Wall. When Border Wall comes into play, bury Border Wall unless you pay an additional 2 red and 2 colorless. In addition, Border Wall has cumulative upkeep, 2 red, 2 colorless, and gains a permanent -0/-9. So, for a 6 casting cost, it looked good at first because it was 0/10, but you get -9, so it's really a 0-1 for a 6 casting cost with a cumulative upkeep and an additional casting cost on top of that. The flavor text says the wall sounded good until it was built. That definitely makes sense. Private email server, artifact. 4 and tap, put 1 email token onto private email server. Sacrifice an email token to do 1 damage to a democratic creature. Okay. Emails. For X, put X email tokens into play. 1. Sacrifice an email token to do 1 damage to Hillary Clinton. Seems to be the way. Here's an uncommon card, Trump Jet. For 5, a little bit expensive. Tap, target creature gains flying until end of turn. Ooh, definitely a rare artifact, Trump University. For 6 casting cost, it's an artifact enchantment. Immediately place this card face up on the battlefield. When you are first able to, you must pay this card's casting cost. The next player clockwise to you then gains control of this card and must pay this casting cost when first able, and so on for the remainder of the game. This card has no other effect. So basically it's a complete waste of time and money. Interesting. And so we're on to some spells here. This is an interrupt spell. It's a lie for 1 mountain. You may only play this card if you control a Republican creature named Trump. 1 aspect of the game, the amount of health or you or your opponent, the number of creatures in play, etc., may be changed unless your opponent calls you out on that in the next 5 seconds. You may interrupt this with another lie to say that you never played this card. So lying about lies. I like it. Flavor text says, wrong, I never said that. I use another lie card. Same thing, but the flavor text, I never touched any of the women, which is a lie. Okay. Here's yet another lie card. It was just locker room talk. Okay, definitely a lie. Here's another lie card. Stop and frisk is constitutional. Okay, clearly it's unconstitutional, so that's a lie. I think these are things that he actually did say in the debates, I believe. I opposed the war in Iraq from the beginning. Okay, clearly debunked as a lie many times. Here's another lie card. The U.S. could have seized Iraq's oil. Well, we could have, but it would have been illegal by international law, so it's kind of a lie in a sense. And again, that's another one. It's another lie card. Ford is leaving the U.S. and taking thousands of jobs with it. Okay, not true. That's a lie. China is devaluing its currency. Now, I think they did years ago, but they don't anymore, so that's a lie. The U.S. is not updating its nuclear arsenal. Okay, that's not true. Okay, so that was a kind of a fraction of the lie cards. I'm sure there's more out there. That's all that I got in these 2 booster packs. Here we move on to a Trump tweet for 1 mountain. Trump tweet does 1 damage to any target and 2 damage to you. Flavor text says, very sad. So clearly you don't want to tweet because, I mean, you could in desperation, but you're going to do a lot of damage to yourself in the process. Okay, here's another fence. I'm going to build a fence so high. 3 mountains for sorcery. Search through your deck for a wall. Put that card into your hand. If the wall is an artifact named Border Wall, put it directly into play. All right. And here's a sorcery. I'm going to make him pay for it. For 1 mountain, target opponent taps up to X mana, where X is the number of anger counters on a Donald Trump card you control. You may use that mana to cast a wall from your hand. So you really are making other people pay for the wall. Interesting. Trump Water. Okay, this is a joke. 1 mountain sorcery. Do 1 damage to 1 target and 2 damage to yourself. So it's kind of like the Trump tweet. You may only cast this spell if you control at least 1 island. So it's a really bad Trump tweet. Probably like it's a bad business idea. Oh, Trump Stakes. 2 mountains. Do 1 damage to yourself and 3 damage. Do 2 damage to 1 target and 3 damage to yourself. Now, this card is so bad they even misspelled yourself as yourself. I mean, that's just how bad Trump Stakes are. I'm sure that was an intentional mistake. Okay, here we're moving on to some blue cards. Obfuscation. Obfuscate is to make dark or make obscure. For 2 islands, choose 1 card that is in your deck or your hand. You may play this card face down without revealing it for the remainder of the game. In politics, as in poker, one keeps their hand close to the vest. So you're not really lying, but you're not really saying what you're doing. You're obfuscating. There's another obfuscation. Another obfuscation card. Wow, quite a few obfuscations here. Obfuscation again. More obfuscations. This looks like the last obfuscation cards, but clearly quite a few obfuscations there. We're moving on to an uncommon card here. WikiLeaks for 4 islands. It's an enchantment. Stays on the battlefield. For 2 islands, choose one card that has been obfuscated. Turn that card face up. Okay, so... And now we're moving on to some gold bordered cards here. 2 mountains, 2 islands. Drone Strike, instant. Drone Strike deals 4 damage to one creature and 2 damage to other creatures that are physically adjacent to the target card. So I guess it's sort of like collateral damage. If you control President Obama, you may put this card on top of your deck instead of your discard pile. So definitely he's definitely done a lot of Drone Strikes. Interesting. Congressional hearing. 2 mountains and 1 blue. I think 2 mountains meaning it's probably more of a Republican-leaning card. For the next hour, neither you nor any other player may do anything. Flavor text says, we'll get to the bottom of this, even if it kills us in the process. Ooh, uncommon creature card, Edward Snowden. For 2 planes, he's a 0/1. Creature human. Tap, look at the top 2 cards of target player's deck. You may shuffle those cards into a different player's deck. So we're sort of kind of spreading the secrets around, it looks like. Ooh, a rare card. Hillary Clinton, Democratic candidate creature, banding, protection from red. Pretty hefty casting cost. When Hillary Clinton enters play, return 1 Democratic creature you control to your hand. Definitely not the most popular creature. Your black creatures are easier to cast. Destroy Hillary Clinton if Barack Obama, Democratic candidate, enters play. So he definitely was much more popular than her as a candidate. But she's easily regenerated. Regenerate Hillary Clinton from 1 planes. Ah, another rare card. Donald Trump, creature, Republican candidate. Crazy looking card here. First strike, fire breathing, trample, rampage 2. Definitely an attacker. During your upkeep, put an anger counter on Donald Trump. Remove 3 anger counters to do 1 damage to any target. He must attack each turn if able. If Donald does not attack, Donald becomes tapped and does 5 damage to you. Sort of like he's infighting in the Republican Party, it looks like. Donald has strength equal to 5 plus the number of Tea Party tokens in play. Tap to spawn a red and black 1/1 Tea Party token. If Donald Trump becomes president, bury the United States of America. So you don't want to have the United States and Donald Trump as president. Here's a cool card. Bernie Sanders. 2 blue and 2 planes. Democratic candidate for a 2/4. Not bad. While Bernie Sanders is in play, Hillary Clinton costs an additional 2 planes to cast. He definitely made it harder for her to gain the nomination. Bernie Sanders gains +2/+2 in banding if an opponent controls at least 1 Ication money changer. So sort of the Wall Street top 1% thing that really motivated his campaign. Oh wow, Vladimir Putin. This guy's a rare card. Pretty hefty casting cost there for a 0/10. Pretty strong. But for 0 as an interrupt, Vladimir gains +9/-9 until end of turn. So basically, he's pretty sneaky. You think he's kind of doing nothing, and then all of a sudden, boom, he attacks as a 9/1 creature. Tap and do 1 damage to any target which has taken damage this turn. When Vladimir leaves play, you may instead put Vladimir back in play under your control. So once he's in play, he's hard to get out. Okay, looks like we're moving on back to U.S. politics. This card has a little wrinkle, unfortunately, but Jeb. 3 mountains for 1/2, kind of weak. Sacrifice Jeb to destroy an endorsement token anywhere in the game. Marco Rubio, 2 mountains and 2 islands. Bury Marco Rubio if you control no islands. Sacrifice Rubio to put an endorsement token into play. When you have 3 endorsement tokens in play under your control, discard those tokens and search through your deck for a Donald Trump president card. Put that card into your hand. We're getting near the bottom here. Chris Christie, he's 2 mountains and 2 forest. Now he's a pretty big guy for a 2/5 tap, and tap 2 forest to destroy 1 bridge in play. Sacrifice Christie, kind of do the same thing, get an endorsement token, put that card into your hand. His second to last card here, this one, Hillary Clinton, creature president. So 14 casting cost, really hard to get out. Banding, first strike, protection from red, 8/8, pretty strong because she's president, and she regenerates. Now, I know she doesn't have any other abilities. Maybe we'll just have to wait and see what her presidency is like. But, you know, tough creature if you can get it out. And looks like the last card, ooh, this is a really rare card. I cannot believe I got this one. It's a Donald Trump president card. This is almost frightening. 0 casting cost. He's an XX. Let's look at the flavor text. Okay, X is the number, is chosen at random every second. You never know what his strength or his toughness is going to be. It's changing all the time. Let's read this flavor text first. And lo, authority was given to them over the fourth of the earth to kill with sword and with famine and with pestilence and by the wild beasts of the earth, Revelations. So kind of an end times looking card. Let's read the text here. When you look at this card, you lose the game. This card and all their magic cards you control will self-destruct in 5 seconds. This ability may not be blocked or countered. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, how do they expect? So they're saying that if I look at this card, everything's just going to blow up in 5 seconds. I just...